the metaverse.
The metaverse. It's such a dumb and weird name.
Thanks, Zuckerberg.
But also worth $1 gajillion. So, of course, you got to talk shit on it.
Yeah. I guess it's pretty cool, actually.
Dude, I was, we did something right on our last, at least on our last YouTube, because there was a ton of additional views compared to last time. I don't know what we did. We need to be, I know we were kind of talking about just making these a little bit shorter, but one thing I always think we should do, you ever watched like any like popular YouTubers that talk about what they're about to do, or anything like that?
What they're about to do?
Yeah, like you ever watch Mr. Beast or any of those type things?
I've seen Mr. Beast. Yeah.
I just love how like everything is like super like hyped about what they're about to do.
Oh yeah,
they're like,
they really deliver.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't have any food, so we had to go to the drive-thru and get some food. Like that's the beginning. Yeah,
3 notches.
And the like the music's playing in the background. And there's like all these like sound effects, but kids are like, whoa, dude, they didn't have any food.
Flashing graphics and like chyrons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We decided to cook French fries, but we didn't have ketchup, so we had to go to Smith's and buy some ketchup. That's a 50 million views.
Yeah. Well, you are enthusiastic. Sir.
Wow. Okay. Cool, man. Yeah. Some of those. I mean, there's obviously an algorithm to it, and for two therapists that specialize in working with like sex offenders and
we're going to talk about some weird clinical shit. You ready, Mace?
Yeah. Dude, I like that. That sounded like a wrestler.
Yeah. Little Randy Savage.
Yeah.
You ready, brother?
Dude, did you hear recently? There's a news article. It's not about this, but did you hear that some gal, she like got into a car accident recently, and Hulk Hogan was there with another person. Hulk Hogan saved her.
No shit, really?
Yeah. So Hulk Hogan,
awesome,
stabbed an airbag with his pen and popped it and pulled her out. But dude, the best part about it was his I love it when wrestlers like wear wrestling shit unironically in the community. So he is wearing a do-rag and an NWO shirt. Like,
that's not just a character he plays. He is Hulk Hogan everywhere.
Yeah, it would be dude, if I got into an accident, there was a rollover and I flipped my car, and Hulk Hogan in an NWO shirt came to, I'd be like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. I'm dead.
This is heaven. Weird. Or hell. Yeah. Either one. I mean,
hey Hulk, am I in heaven?
Yeah, but that was so weird, man. So
how surreal.
I know, but time for another story. But so I saw this, and this was, as I did so today we're just gonna go over this thing that we saw. It was kind of, I guess it's consistent with what we do, although I don't know if we'll ever cross paths with this. I suppose as time goes on, it's gonna get bigger and bigger. But so there was a report about a rape in the metaverse. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the metaverse is I've never been there. I mean, I have an Oculus that I play video games on, but I've never interacted with anybody else on there. So, and I'm guessing you haven't.
I have not, no.
No, never? Why not? You don't have any virtual reality stuff?
When the Oculus first came out, I actually had a client bring me a headset and...
Wait, give you one?
No.
Oh, I was going to say,
his headset
damn.
to session.
Oh, okay.
We were messing around with it.
Yeah.
So, this is 2014.
Oh, okay.
So
it's gotten a little bit better since then. So it's pretty. I mean, there's some fun games on there. I've never interacted on there. I know a friend of ours said he's able to go in there and people bootleg movies and then they upload it into like this virtual.
Oh, and you can go watch it.
Movie theater though. Although, dude, it's hilarious because I love how people are just people, whether they're virtual or not. So, and that virtual thing, we've talked about this, like it gives you a buffer. It's just like if you're texting somebody, you know how you would normally say things through a text message you never would say in person to to another person.
Yeah, it's that layer removed.
Right. Yeah. So it removes a lot of the, I guess the social impacts or the social like consequences that you deal with when saying things to people's face. But it's on steroids in there, though. He was like in there trying to watch a movie, and of course, people come up in front of him and dance and get in his face and throw popcorn at him. He's like, so he has to like block him so he can't see him and everything.
And this will help understanding the thing we're going to talk about, but like, what's his experience of it? So is he like, so he's watching the movie, and would it look just like you stood in front of me and started dancing?
No, it's not that advanced. You know those Lego Duplo characters?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what they look like.
That style of animation.
Yeah. So it's like a head and like a little body, and it doesn't even have legs, and there's
so it doesn't look real at all.
Oh no. I mean, you can
is it like a Wii character, like a Nintendo Wii
kind of like that?
Yeah.
Maybe not even as advanced as that. Like, and you can customize your character a little bit, to kind of make it look like you, but no more than like if you were on your smartphone, and you know how they have those characters that you kind of customize to make them look like you.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they look like.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I thought this was kind of, I don't know what the word is for it, but yeah, this was from, let's see, WION. This is some English news, because this actually came out in. So what was weird about this is I looked into it, and the original article on this was published back in 2022, and I saw it in the New York Post, and it didn't get a whole lot of attention, but now it's being investigated since then. So this had been reported. But then now the UK is investigating it because the victim in this, or alleged victim, I should say, reported that back then, and then now it's being investigated. So I have a little clip here for us to watch, and I don't think we're going to run into the same technical issues that we did last time.
You saved it, considering what we were dealing with. The editing, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. It turned out better than I thought it was going to, honestly.
Yeah.
I wasn't optimistic.
We'll say turned out better than we thought. All right, I don't know what this lady's name is, but she got a really nice accent, so let's see what she has to say.
Meanwhile, the UK police are investigating the gang rape case of a 16-year-old in the Metaverse. It is believed to be the first time a virtual sexual offense is being investigated by the police. As per reports, the victim was wearing a virtual reality headset in an immersive game when her avatar, an animated representation of her, was gang raped by several male avatars. Although the girl did not sustain any physical injury during the attack, the investigating officer said that the victim had suffered the same emotional and psychological trauma as a rape victim in the real world. As of now, it remains unclear which game the teenage girl was playing at the time of the alleged offense. The probe, however, has raised many questions. Questions about whether the police should be pursuing virtual offenses. That is, given the fact that in the real world, police and prosecutors are currently struggling with an enormous backlog of rape cases. Experts also believe that it might be impossible to prosecute the perpetrators under existing laws that define sexual assault in physical terms. The UK Home Secretary James Cleverly has defended the virtual reality rape probe, saying, and I quote, "It's worth realizing that somebody who is willing to put a child through a trauma like that digitally may well be someone that could go on to do terrible things in the physical realm." Do note that prosecuting the perpetrators in this case might be an uphill task. As per the existing law, sexual assault is defined as a physical touch in a sexual manner without consent.
Weird pause right here. Then she starts talking again.
Beyond World is One is now available in your country.
Yeah, it was the end of the clip. So, yeah, there's a lot going into that.
Got a lot of
little.
questions.
I mean, so I don't know. I mean, initial impressions on that. What do you think?
It's a brave new world, dude. I don't know. Like so this was a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That this happened to. Okay. So I have more questions than anything, and I don't know if they're things that you would even have an answer for. I mean, you've kind of now, after watching that video, I have a better idea of what the experience might look like. So first and foremost, I want to separate my reaction and my questions from the specific case we're talking about here. I don't want to downplay or minimize anything that this girl's going through or what her experience was. And so my questions aren't talking about her specifically, but like, I don't understand the logistics of it. When we say, and I don't want to get crude here, but when we're saying rape, like, what is actually being depicted? Like, to what degree is it? As I was headed, like, I looked up 5 or 6 videos before you and I started recording, and I couldn't find anything on it. And then the part I wanted to really pick your brain on is like the ethical implications of what constitutes a person. So as far as like a breach of physical boundaries, and also like how are we defining these things? How are we defining rape and sexual assault? And I don't know. It's there. I have a lot of questions in that area. But
well, I mean, so I think she did a pretty good job of clarifying that any prosecution of this would be an uphill battle. I mean, it sounds like it wouldn't be too difficult to find the quote unquote perpetrators that were involved in this.
Right.
But whether or not a crime had occurred is what's in question. There's a lot. I know on the Guardian did an article on this, which is very similar to what she just reported. Although they did report on the New York Post, because the New York Post had a lot of comments, basically saying that, I mean, just basically talking shit on the victim in this case. You know, that why are the police wasting their time on this when they could be investigating, real sexual assault cases? And people just say obvious things like, well, why don't you just take your headset off or something like that? Now, the thing I think that, so whether or not, I don't think the issue is the severity of what happened in this circumstance, right? And I don't know what her experience was. Like, who am I to say she's right or wrong? It's not really up to me. What I will say though is I think this opens the door to some new frontiers as far as what happens virtually, because when she quoted the prosecutor in that situation, that was what got me curious a little bit, because he said if somebody's willing to do this in the virtual world, that makes it more likely for them to do that in the physical world. So in other words, like he's concerned with their behaviors manifesting beyond the virtual world and then them actually sexually assaulting somebody in the physical world, which, I mean, maybe you can draw a straight line to that or not. I don't know. Sounds like there's a lot of in-between pieces that would happen in between them. But I think that, I mean, is something that logically people can kind of put together and say, yeah, that could be possible. I just don't know to what degree. I mean, there's been a lot of cases where people have been online and they just said crazy shit, right? Like all kinds of crazy stuff. They never did anything though. Mm-hmm. They just said all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know. And I'm not talking like racial stuff. I'm talking about like just weird sexual stuff. And they're just trying to say stuff to get it right, troll people or whatever. It's not illegal. You know what I mean? There's nothing illegal about just saying something weird or freaky. So, and this is taking an action that you could just document in a text, but instead now you're acting it out in kind of a physical avatar. It's not even physical. It's like a virtual avatar. And I think that's where people are getting concerned. But so the people clearly had the idea of sexual assault on their mind. They were thinking about it, but whether they actually did anything, I mean, in reality, that's kind of what's in question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have the video of it too.
We might have to jump into that in a sec. Like other areas I want.
The actual sexual assault.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I guess that'll answer some of.
Should we check it out?
Yeah. Let's watch this. And
now I'm going to prepare you. By the way, anybody watching this, this is very underwhelming. Okay, in terms of content, there's not. If you're like waiting,
explicit.
No, there's nothing explicit about it. I don't even think there's a swear word involved. So I'm just saying for the sake of. If you're about to turn off, you don't need to. So here's kind of the first little piece of this here, and let me go ahead and I love you really were working to make Swag Daddy work. Swag.
So that'd have been picked.
DADDYYY, and of course you got to cap it off with a
6'9".
6'9".
There've been several other Swag Daddies with less D's and Y's, huh?
I did luck out with my email, though. I got macewarren@gmail.com. That's pretty.
You're going to get a bunch of emails now.
Yeah,
from
well,
all our hordes of listeners.
10 people. Yeah. Okay, so here is the. This is 28 seconds. So here's the whole thing.
Free show.
Get down, girl, you heard.
We finna have a kid right now, son. No way. Hey, free show. Yeah, free show.
And that is all she wrote. So
what the hell is I even watch, man?
yeah,
that was okay.
So I mean,
well,
obviously this was from the victim's perspective. This is what they were seeing. So it looked like the guy that was on the right was obviously the one that was doing the sexual assault, and the other one was participating.
People saying free show.
Yeah, but I think what you and there was probably context that we're missing there, leading up to that.
There has to be.
But what I will say is that's essentially the quality that you're getting in the metaverse right now in terms of the avatars. There's nothing, because I was thinking, okay, how is like rape even a possibility
That's what I was
in the
wondering.
metaverse? Like, is there a button for that? Like, and if so,
and who programmed that?
Yeah, who built that button?
Right.
So obviously not. There was clear motions that were happening that would indicate something sexual in nature. But I mean, you saw the quality of the avatars. I mean, it's nothing. So now again, I'm not minimizing that and saying that wasn't traumatizing, or it was. What I am saying is that's about as bad as it's going to get, at least for right now. But we can only say it's only going to get better. Better quality. That
honestly answers a lot of what I was asking, is as far as like what actually occurred. So that does help. There's, I mean, you got the criminal justice background, actus reus and mens reus. I like, for a crime to occur, there has to be bad action, and then also you have to show intent or bad mind or whatever. And so, like, to your point, when you're playing a video game, you talked about being online and all the wild shit people say to each other online. But then, like, also with a video game, like, to what degree am I responsible for my behaviors in, like, a video game, which is what this feels like. This is becoming something different, the metaverse.
Yeah.
And so but my reference point is video games. My reference point is playing Grand Theft Auto and just killing people wantonly. Something I would never do in real life.
Well, and I think in Grand Theft Auto, I think you can
do
sexually assault somebody in there, can't you?
Right. I think you can, like, kill prostitutes.
Well, right. And I mean, other games.
Can you sexually? I don't know. Maybe.
I played Grand Theft Auto when it first came out, and I haven't played it again. But I just think about, like, other things. I mean, I play video games every now and then, and I mean, they can get really violent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, this is a little bit. I think the difference here is there was somebody else on the other end of this. This isn't just a part of the game. You know what I mean? So
compared to, like, Halo, then, where you can play with multiple people.
Sure.
And that's like the objects to kill each other.
Sure.
I don't know where it's clear that that's a video game. The avatars aren't actually avatars. You're a warrior or something, whereas this is supposed to be representation of you. So yeah, that, like, I don't know, that part gets tricky for me.
Yeah. Well, so to me, I guess the biggest worry on this is as this technology advances, something that's come up a lot that we've been asked about is, okay, well, so again, whoever's watching this or listening to this can have an opinion on what we just watched and listened to. And you can, in your own mind, determine how serious it is or not. Mm-hmm. What I would say, though, is something that we've been talking about for a while, and this comes down to a lot of our clients that have internet-based offenses, and particularly those with child pornography, right? Because in the past, like, a lot of people have started talking about, well, especially if they're like an exclusive pedophile, or non-offending exclusive pedophile or something like that, right? And so, in other words, they're only attracted to prepubescent children. It's their only known sexual attraction. Of course, we don't want them sexually offending on actual children, right? And in the past, think about how many clients we've worked with, and their excuse essentially is that, well, I didn't produce those pictures, I didn't produce those images or those videos. Those videos existed without anything that I've done, right? This may as well have been trash on the street that I picked up.
We hear that a lot,
right? And our counter to that we always talk to clients is, well, yes, you didn't produce it. You weren't part of the actual harm that was done to the client in that moment. And I have had therapists go as far to say, if you're watching that, then you may as well have been in the room sexually assaulting that. That's, to me, that's a little bit much. I think that's asking. I mean, we could tell a client that that's what they need to believe, and they'll tell us that's what they believe because they don't want to. I mean, they don't want to get in trouble for not agreeing with us, but I don't think they believe that. So I think an easier pitch to help them take accountability for this is, well, it's just like anything, right? The only reason that UFC exists, or even a better example, is that you watch any of that slap fighting?
Yeah.
The only reason slap fighting exists, which, I don't know, 10 years ago you'd think is preposterous, is because there's a market for it, because people are watching it and people are paying to watch it, right?
If people weren't watching it, it would dissolve pretty quickly.
Right. Now, however many millions of people watch slap fighting, if you don't like it, then, whatever. But if it's on there, then you have to take accountability for that and say, well, I'm a drop in a bucket of a bunch of people who watch slap fighting, but I do have to be responsible for that drop. And, I am part of a market that exists that calls for that product. Same thing goes for child pornography. Yes, you're not the only person that views child pornography, but you have contributed to a market that allowed for that to exist, and that market never existed, then
people wouldn't be uploading it and producing it.
Well, right, because what would be the point of the risk? What's the incentive for? And all human behavior is driven by incentive, so there's no incentive to do that. It just elevates the crime that's already occurring. So, but people have in the past, even therapists we've worked with, have tried to hack the system, and they've said what, and even our clients, like I've had clients draw pictures of children, right? Explicit pictures of children. Or they go and get a People magazine and go to like Kids Stars or something like, or no, yeah, Stars Kids section, and use those for purposes of masturbation. And so the question has come up, well, what's the harm then if you have a cartoon or a virtual image, and obviously with like AI and everything now, it can get pretty advanced and realistic. So essentially, nobody's been harmed. It's not even a real child talking or having, this is all computer generated.
So right now we're talking about like not like a metaverse avatar. We're talking about like images,
right?
Okay,
but that's kind of the hack that other people have proposed. That, well, why not? Okay, so we don't want them offending on real people, so why not just let them watch something that's completely computer generated and has nothing to do? Nobody's been hurt. So what do you think about that? Like, what's your thoughts on that one?
A little bit about the point you brought up a minute ago is maybe that it maybe decreases some of those, the natural inhibitions. If you're engaging in that, pretty soon your ability to be satiated from masturbating to CGI, child pornography, child sexual abuse, no longer gives you the same jolt, the same level of arousal, and potentially then look to step it up a notch.
Yeah, the one thing so I've always thought about it like this. Every client that I've worked with that has like viewed illegal images online, right? And specifically child pornography. I've never had a client that started there.
Nope.
And in other words, they just Google child pornography. I mean, that'd be foolish anyway, but it never starts there. It's always legal pornography that that they're using obviously for purposes of masturbation. They're not watching for the plot, and I think more than anything, they have a compulsive component to their personality, and after a while, like you said, it just gets kind of boring, and it no longer satiates whatever the desire is at this point. And then over time, whatever their search history is changes. They're looking at different things, and eventually it starts to get into this dark realm that you're skirting the lines and eventually crosses the barrier into being illegal. Okay. And then I've had so many clients tell me initially they weren't really attracted to the images, but they were more so aroused by the risk associated with what they were doing.
Yep.
And then over time they became aroused to the images and videos that they were looking at, right?
Often we hear that.
And as anecdotal as that is, I'm just saying that I don't know if that's just organic, that somebody just starts looking at child pornography. I mean, I'd be curious to see if ever there was a case that things started there and ended there.
Just to throw out the anomaly, I did have a guy that he started looking at like child pornography when he was like 14. He was looking for girls that looked like the girls in his class.
Oh, okay. Well, that would
It's
follow.
a little different, right?
It'd be age appropriate, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, well, so then the question is, okay, so if you're looking at those things and you do have that compulsive component, at what point are you now going to, is the child pornography that you're viewing going to follow suit with everything else that you've been viewing? So now I've been masturbating to child pornography for however long. Don't clip that, by the way, anybody. So the clients have been, or whoever is been masturbating to child pornography, and then this no longer satiates them and then actualizes into the real world, right? That's the biggest concern.
Right.
And so if you start adding that component to something like the metaverse, where now it's not just realistic because I'm looking at a CGI, really advanced image on a screen. Now I'm immersed in something that consumes every piece that I can see, and I can interact with it to some degree, which makes it, much more realistic. And is that the next step? And then after that, when does that end, right? So unfortunately, I pulled up some research on this that should kind of help us. I mean, this was probably the most relevant article that I looked at. I won't read the whole thing, but this is Contact Sexual Offending by Men with Online Sexual Offenses.
Cito.
Lead author was Cito, and then Carl Hansen and Kelly, you guessed that last name. Babchishin? Got it. Yeah. Nailed it. Yeah. Okay, so I kind of summarized it. And so the abstract kind of says, this study looked at whether people who engage in online sexual offenses, especially involving child pornography, are likely to also commit physical offenses offline. The researchers found that about 1 in 8 online offenders, 12%, had a known history of physically contacting victim at the time of their online offense. In other words, they already had a contact victim when their online crime occurred. Huh. Additionally, around 55% of online offenders admitted to a physical contact offense in self-report studies. So that's more than 12%, wow. Obviously. Okay. In terms of future actions, the study found that 4.6 of online offenders committed some form of sexual offense during a follow-up period of 1.5 to 6 years. So that's, pretty low and consistent with, I would say, our just contact offense guys who come in and work with us. 4.6 reoffense rate, and this is a sexual offense, not any type of new crime or violation. So, contrary to popular belief, once you've gone through treatment or you've been punished, the recidivism rate is actually really low for a new sex crime. Out of this group, 2.0% committed physical contact sexual offenses, 3.4% committed a new child pornography offense, which was kind of surprising to me. I feel like a lot of my clients in the past who've been convicted of child pornography, I feel like they reoffend all the time by looking at new images. Don't you
Probably
get
the
that?
most frequently.
I mean, yeah. Again, anecdotal, but I'm saying
it's what it seems.
That's
compared
surprising.
to like contact sexual reoffenses.
Mm-hmm.
No, it seems like
yeah.
by a large
and maybe
margin.
it just turns into a violation, but and
new charges too.
Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah.
The overall conclusion suggests that there might be a subgroup of online-only offenders with a relatively low risk of committing physical contact sexual offenses.
Right.
So that's kind of the abstract that they gave us. I mean, I don't know how much more we want to go into that. So the research, at least in terms of known offenses, that there's about 12% of individuals who have, some sort of child pornography offense also have a contact offense.
12% that have both, right?
But it's known. It's known
Right.
crimes.
Yeah.
But the self-reports, which is, I think that, I don't know if that's more telling or more relevant, 55% of them, so more than half, had contact offenses outside of their child pornography offense.
So when 12% being known, that's like known to the law.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's clearly no research at all about guys who rape somebody in the metaverse that then actually rape somebody in the real world. Because as far as I can tell, we have one case, which is, last time I checked, not a good end size.
Just to kind of follow up on that, because again, that we got to talking about this with the girl in the story, the 16-year-old. So just to say, there are laws on the books that prevent or that will punish people for being sexually aggressive, making threats, sexual threats online.
Yeah, we covered that in
those exist.
Yeah, we covered that in the one episode that focused on revenge porn.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like there's laws are going to have to change as this stuff gets more and more real. But like as of right now, sexual bullying, harassment, threats, those types of things are already illegal.
Yeah, and this is what I'd say. So, I mean, it's just like I don't know. It's just like, okay, if you're going to allow shenanigans are going to happen. I mean, you and I went to a concert one time, and we were with our buddies, and we're a bunch of idiots. And at this concert, there was a screen that people could text message and throw stuff up there. Okay, and they gave us a number that said and people could put anything that they wanted on there. Just text the number and it would post.
And everybody could see what was on this scroll.
Right. And so it was really cool. Now, my immediate thought, maybe because I was a jerk back then, I don't know if that wore off or not, but my immediate thought was, how dare you give me that power? And so immediately I just said a bunch of crazy stuff, I think all of us did.
Yeah.
They turned it off, which I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, FAFO,
what were
dude.
You thinking?
Yeah. What do you think is gonna happen? So, I think again, you guys can have whatever opinion you want about the alleged victim in this case. What I'd say is, I think this gives insight to Meta about the potential for something like this happening.
Right.
So they need to remove the rape button as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But really, I think you can put safeguards in place for something like this.
There is.
There are.
The bubble thing.
Yeah, you can put so you can't view things and stuff like that.
And the protective bubble.
Yeah, and I think I there's games that my kids play on like a good example is a game called like Roblox. You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So they just play Roblox, and like my daughter's super cute. She plays a game called Speed Draw, and so they'll say flower, and then everybody has to draw a flower as fast as they can. They got like 2 minutes, and then everybody who's in there votes. Inevitably, somebody draws a dick, right? And then they have a report button too, where you can report that. Which I assume there's probably some feature like that as well. But no matter what, I think beyond whatever exists now, additional safeguards would have to be put into place to avoid something happening like this. Because if you just allow people to do whatever they want, then stuff like this is going to happen. I mean, it is kind of weird too, and that's the other thing. I mean, working with clients that we work with, or clients in general, whatever was happening in that, the biggest thing was I saw a couple other people in the background. I'm just like, what is happening in here? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know why I would ever be compelled to put that on and then go and do I mean, it just seems.
I don't get it either.
But
I guess we don't have.
I'm a 42-year-old.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah,
what do I know? I'm not knocking. I'm saying it does also well, it also does add to that buffer, because even text messages now, I would say also encouragement to have real conversations with other people is super helpful for avoiding crap like that, because you just wouldn't like.
That's a big buffer between reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Inhibitions are a good thing, but they're not activated unless they're in the right context. And so you take that context away, and then people do crazy stuff, of course. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that's the reality of this.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that to happen, then to some degree you need to control for that, right? So I don't know. I think as it advances, Meta probably is going to pay attention to it. I'm going to follow up, because I'm kind of curious if there's going to be any type of criminal prosecution or anything like that, because if they're investigating it, that
I would love to see that, based on the whole like the kind of the legal precedents and what a body is, what a mind is, what counts as. Well,
we'll keep our viewers updated. Right. So okay, is that all we have to say on this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll I think as we shorten these, we can probably put out content a little bit quicker too, like faster content, less time in the episodes. Tell us what you think. Okay, thanks everybody.